We are live.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the sixth episode of
Whoa!
Timeless Talks with Sam and Jingles. Today we have a special guest here with us, Molly.
Hello. Sorry, this is my first podcast, so.
It's good. It's good.
Okay, so before we begin,
Mhm.
can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and what you do for the most part?
Sure. So my name's Molly, like you said. Currently, I work as the program coordinator for student leadership and involvement at the Utah Asia campus in Incheon, South Korea. So been here in Korea about 2.5 years, and then with the university for almost 3. But my background, I'm a born and raised Midwest girl from the U.S. So absolutely love it. Bring me the cornfields and ranch dressing.
Mhm.
So from St. Louis originally, did my undergrad there, moved to Arkansas for grad school, lived in California for a little bit, lived in Thailand.
okay.
So kind of been all over. But yeah.
It's funny that you mentioned Arkansas.
Yeah, Woo Pig Suey. Do I have a fellow Arkansas person here?
No.
Sorry, my
No.
hopes are getting raised.
Because like Arkansas is that one state that everybody forgets exists.
And they hate. No one likes Arkansas.
Or Arkansas.
Arkansas, that's right, Arkansas. I know. I worked in international education, and all of our international students would come, and they'd be like, "Oh, we're in Arkansas," and I'm like, "Well, it's actually Arkansas, but welcome." So yeah, I thought the same thing. I thought, wow, I don't want to move here, and I'm super glad I did. It went
Okay.
beyond all my expectations. So now I'm a fan of Arkansas.
Arkansas.
So.
Can you also possibly tell us how like your college life was in the past? And like,
Yeah.
did you do any on campus like jobs or like any activities outside of campus or anything like that?
Sure. I loved college. I will admit
Okay.
had a grand old time. So I went to a small liberal arts school with about 6,000 people. So it was a public school in Missouri, middle of nowhere, tiny town, 17,000 people.
Okay.
So you really had to make your own fun.
Oh.
And doing that. So I wasn't as involved as I think a lot of people who go into this type of job and role. I worked a lot of random jobs just to make money. I was the nighttime security guard at the library, but it was like my social time. Like I would go around, I had to count people. That was part of my job, was security and counting people. And so I'd go and chit chat with everyone. I worked in the study abroad office. I ran the front desk in our study abroad office. I was a math TA for a little bit. I
Oh.
watched people take math tests. What else did I do? Oh, I was a comm TA. I did that.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I was involved
Okay.
in a service sorority, so I did a lot of like Greek activities, homecomings, formals, of the likes. So really involved in a lot of different things. I was always on campus, always doing stuff. But yeah, I had a grand old time in college, so it was very fun. Very
Sounds
fun.
like Molly's time in college was a great time. I can
Yeah,
tell.
yeah,
I can tell.
Especially the Greeks though.
That's right. Came in third place in my junior year lip sync competition.
Ooh,
so
okay,
claim
okay.
to fame here. I had a lift. I got lifted up. That's right. That's right. It was like the scene in, what is it, Dirty Dancing?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
So not as well executed, but tried my best.
Okay.
So
You did mention about being a math TA.
Yeah, I was gonna touch up on that.
You must be really good at math then.
I actually got fired from that job.
Okay. Wait. Let's take it back.
So no, they went through and fired a bunch of people. It wasn't just me. They realized that they had hired all these people and none of us really knew what we were doing. And so
okay.
it was it wasn't a firing. It was, we're not going to renew anyone's contract. They were looking then for specific,
So then they were
individual
laid off.
classes. Was laid off.
They were
was
laid
laid
off.
Okay.
Not
That's
fired. They
right.
were laid
Okay.
off.
Laid off.
Mm.
Yeah. But that was great because I was able to, it was a scholarship job. And so I was able to work in the study abroad office then. They had an opening, and that is what got me started in my higher ed journey. So what I wanted to go into. So had I not been laid off from the math job, would have done that. But
So it's interesting that you say you were a TA for math and for comm. So what was your undergrad major? What did you study?
Yeah, so I was a public communication major, and then I minored in international studies. So
where's the math? Where's the comm? Now I see. Now I see what happened.
So yeah, no, not math at all. Communication. I tried to change my major a couple of times, but it always came back to communication, and I didn't want to stay longer because of the cost of school, So I stuck it out because I realized junior year I didn't want to go into what I was studying, and I was like, oh shoot. What am I gonna do? So it was kind of one of those things. If I thought I was gonna go into PR marketing, I did an internship and I absolutely hated it.
Oh my god!
I lived the cubicle life, you're in your little cubicle doing your marketing and your PR, and it wasn't for me. So it was a time to try and figure it out. But
so how did you transition your college life to your professional life? How did that work for you?
Mine is a little bit, I think, different than most people.
Okay.
So I did a year of service after I graduated. I did AmeriCorps National Civilian Community Corps, NCCC for short. So I boots on the ground is what they say. I went in and did full-time community service work. So I got chainsaw certified, and cleaned up from forest fires. I built trails out in the Pacific Northwest, planted trees after forest fires. I worked with a low-income housing company to help paint houses. So it's a program run by the government, and you do a year of service with them. So
this sounds a little dangerous, people watching.
That's right.
People watching, just be a little careful around Halloween.
I know.
Chainsaw certified people.
I am. Nothing as empowering as starting a chainsaw. That's all I'm saying. So it was, so I did that right after school. I knew I wanted to take a year, kind of give back, do all of that. And then while I was in that, I started thinking about graduate school because I realized that I really enjoyed working in the study abroad office, but to work at a university, a lot of times you have to have a master's. And at that point, it was too short of a time to try and figure it out. I hadn't taken the GRE. I hadn't done any of the studying. So I decided to get certified as an English teacher and move to Thailand. As one does.
Okay.
And so I moved to Thailand and taught English.
It seems like you've done a lot.
So I did that. I had taken the GRE and then was applying to graduate schools when I was in Thailand. Ended up getting in and getting my assistantship that I wanted, which covered the cost of tuition for my master's degree and then paid me a small stipend. And so then I moved back, started working for the University of Arkansas. I was the outreach coordinator, graduate assistant. And so I did new student advising. So students who were interested in studying abroad but didn't know maybe what they wanted to do, I would meet with them, help walk them through the systems, look at their major, and kind of help prep them. And then I did our activities fair and orientation stuff. So I did that, and then through that I worked with a language institution that was associated with the school, doing intercultural support for international students, and then I transitioned full-time once I had graduated with my master's.
Wow,
so
impressive.
Yeah.
How did you end up coming to Korea? Going to Korea?
Never thought I would, be completely honest. So the pandemic had hit, and I was, COVID-19.
Okay, there's a recurring theme in our podcast.
Yeah.
Every podcast we keep talking about the pandemic. Some way, somehow, it just
ends up coming up.
We end up coming to
This thing that
pandemic.
happened for multiple years. Funny how that
It's
happens.
like everybody has a different story and a different
Mhm.
thing to say about the pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like it's just a thing.
Yeah.
So we what happens in our podcast is we change locations every time. If you haven't
Every
noticed.
single
Yeah.
episode.
Every episode we change locations, and every episode COVID's back.
COVID's back. It's back.
Hey, okay, let's not touch about COVID's
Okay.
not back. COVID's not back.
Briefly, that happened, that thing that we shall not mention. And so I worked with international students that were coming to the US for short term. Well, of
Okay.
course, no one can travel. Travel bans were in place. And so it was hinted at that the company might end up closing. The company didn't. We ended up making it through, but it was kind of
Mm.
one of those things of everyone should kind of start looking like.
Wait,
Okay.
so this is the company that you were working with in Thailand?
No, this was in the US. So I had moved back to the US, was working at Arkansas at
right,
this
right.
point. Yeah.
So then, because you went to Thailand, you
Yeah.
were teaching, and then you were paying for the.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So
Okay,
this
okay.
is after you went from Thailand back to US.
Yes.
And
So
then you
I
were working in the US.
working there. So I'd been in the US for 3 years at this point,
Mhm.
working there, had gotten my master's degree. So I have a master's in education with a focus in higher education and student affairs is what my
Oh.
master's is in.
Okay.
And my background is study abroad. That's what I wanted to go into. But
Mm.
again, what shall be not be named also couldn't get a job because study abroad was not happening.
Yeah.
International students weren't coming to the
Mhm.
US. And
Mhm.
so I just started looking, and I had friends who knew that I was looking. And so a friend actually sent me this job posting for Korea.
Oh.
And I pulled up the website and I said, everyone who works there is Korean. No one is going to hire me. But at that point, I was applying to anything. I was like, I have to have a job.
Yeah.
I don't want to move back in with my parents. Like,
Mm.
Yeah.
really don't want to do that. So I applied to this job, didn't think anything of it. And then a couple weeks later, they offered me an interview, did the
Ooh,
interview,
Okay.
did it, was 15 minutes, thought, probably won't go so well. Who knows?
This is exactly what we talked with Lauren.
With
Yeah,
Lauren,
the
yeah.
other
We,
episode.
so we were hired 1 week apart. So
Oh.
The interesting thing here is like how you said, right? You were like, everybody who works there is Korean. I would never get hired.
yeah.
But then you did get hired, right? So like that's what we were talking about with Lauren as well in the other
Mhm.
episode. We were like talking about how you miss 100% of the chances that you don't
You
take.
Yeah.
don't take.
Yeah.
So like this is just an example right here.
Prime
Just
example.
do it.
Yeah.
The last thing the worst thing that they can say is no, right?
Oh,
Mm.
absolutely. And I have gotten no, I've been told no. Many a job, you apply, you get the rejection. Sometimes you don't even get a rejection. You just don't even hear back,
Mm.
Exactly.
So,
I don't know what the deal is with those companies. Like,
Yeah.
I just don't understand them. Just say no or something.
yeah,
Like,
just let
reply
me
to
know.
me back.
Let me
Mm.
know. But it's
Yeah.
when they leave you hanging that you're like, come on.
Because you still have some hope, but at the same time you're losing hope. And
Yep.
You're like,
Mm.
huh?
And you put so much work into it. You gotta alter your cover letter, do
Yeah.
this. I had to send in references, the whole 9 yards for things. So yeah,
Mm.
it's
Okay.
a process to apply to jobs, as I'm sure everyone knows, and
Yeah.
it's ugh,
Yeah.
such a pain. But yeah, I so growing up, we had exchange students from Korea, and so I knew of Korea, and I
Ah.
have friends here in Korea that are Korean,
Okay.
that I knew when I was younger, that I knew in high school. And so I was able to use that selling point in my interview. And I was actually
Ooh.
told that was part of the reason of you have a connection here, it'll help you stay. So a lot of times
Ooh.
when you don't
Oh.
have connections to places, it's kind of like, well, why do you want to move here? Like, what's your connection? And I didn't really know much about Korean culture, so I couldn't say K-pop or K-drama. But I was like, well, I've got some Korean family, so let me
Yeah.
tell you.
I think we talked about the connection thing with like Lauren.
Yeah,
yeah, as
well.
the
Yeah.
earlier
Because we were talking
podcast.
about how like some people have a lot of expectation when they when they come here, like especially like the foreign international students, and then they're like
Mhm.
they watch all the K-pop,
Not
Yeah.
Korea
like the
booze.
Korean,
Yeah, Korea boo, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
and then they come here, and then once they don't see that, then it's just like
Yeah.
What? Yeah. And my expectations, I'll say I didn't have that, but I had never been to Korea. And so I assumed it would be like the other Asian countries, which I know Asia is huge. Every
Yeah.
country is different.
yeah.
But I imagined living in that. And this is very different from.
See, I can understand like how you told that you were in Thailand, and then I have a lot of friends in Thailand. Like one of my very very good friends live in Thailand,
Mhm.
so I've been there and I've seen like how Thailand is, and then like I can
Yeah.
already like relate to you.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like.
you're trying to find that everything is like, jumbled up.
Uh-huh.
It's a whole mess, but it functions properly.
Yep.
You know, it's
The
that kind of
whole
place.
wad of wires, you
Yeah,
know,
it's
on the
just
side
like-
of the street, and
But then like you come to Korea and it's like
organized. Everything looks the same, clean. You know, it's like
it's so different,
what?
right?
So
It's so different compared to other Asian countries.
Mhm.
But then I think that can be said for China as well, because
Oh,
my
absolutely.
dad told me that like if you go to China and then you see like like we all know how about China and everything, right? But then
Mm.
you don't understand the scope of it till you go there.
Yeah.
And once you go to China and then you look at
Huge.
what has happened, like you look at the level of technology that they have,
Mhm.
and then you're like, oh my god, like I did not. I think we
Yeah.
had the same realization in for what do you call Korea when you came to Korea from like especially
Yeah.
after being in
Oh,
Thailand?
yeah. Like, whoa. And I think it's also being here on campus is so different than like living in Seoul, living in Busan. Like,
That's so true.
right here where we live. I live on campus. There's not a lot of restaurants. We've got 2 restaurants and a cafeteria. But if you live, 2 blocks that way, you're in the normal apartment building where you can pop down. You've got coffee shops, these local restaurants, local Korean food, and everyone speaks Korean. Here, everything's in English. And so it's like it's kind of its own little world
Yeah.
where we live, which is different than just general Korea from that. So
That actually leads to the next, what is it called, question we have in mind.
Mm.
So, how do you prioritize your time between outside work and then your professional responsibilities?
That I will say has been really challenging, especially because of how this position is set up. With living on campus. So I live where I work. I mean, I can see from my office, my apartment, like it's, I never have a shorter commute. 3 minutes, I'm here. No excuse when I'm late. But yeah, I've tried really hard, and I think it's just growing as a professional of learning what your work-life balance is. And one of the best advice I got when I first started here was don't put email on your phone and do what you need to do to feel good about yourself. So when you're salaried, we don't have like a set 40 hours, especially because I work evenings, I'll work some weekends, I'll have those things. And you don't get paid overtime. We don't keep track of hours. You're supposed to work around 40, ish for each of your jobs, but some weeks you're going to work more, some weeks you're going to work less. And so I was told with this position, do what you feel is good. So if you need to take a half day off because you worked the night before, and then that's what you need to do. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. And
Okay.
so that's kind of how I've been approaching it.
You brought an interesting point. What was the topic about? Do not keep email on your phone.
Yeah. I mean, it's because then you'll check it and you'll respond to things. And it's just, I keep a tab open with it, but I don't get any email notifications, nothing. And so Cacao, here it's a little bit trickier because Cacao, you get it. But yeah, my last job I had email notifications. Even on the weekends, you would get them, and it doesn't allow you to unplug. And so now I don't get it. You can send me an email 2 a.m. on a Sunday. I'm not checking it till Monday morning when I come in the office. So I don't even have the app to look at when I open my phone. So
I think for students it would be the opposite though.
There's 3,552 unread emails.
No.
I think I have like around like 200. I haven't unseen it.
My other phone had like 8,000.
0.
My other phone had like 8,000. So I was like,
Nope,
okay,
can't
okay.
open it. But yeah, that's been some of the best, I think, one of the most helpful things of helping me unplug is not having those notifications on my phone. But again, it is challenging because I do sometimes come into the office on the weekend and, not always to work. I'll like leave stuff in my office or, I'm like, I gotta go grab something or do that. So yeah, it's been a real conscious effort. And it's also tricky because my best friends in Korea are the 2 people I work next to. So coming into the office also is like a social time for me. I'm like, ooh, how was that weekend? Like Monday morning isn't like, oh, Monday gotta go in. I'm like, what did you do? Like, let's get coffee and catch up.
If you don't mind me asking, how do you spend your weekends?
Usually with Anna or Lauren. No. So
we have strict orders from Anna
Yeah.
to not keep you beyond 6:30.
Oh, that's right. Well, that's because we're going to hang out. No, we got to go to a
Yes.
work event tonight. So,
Okay.
It's a front.
Yeah.
It's a front.
It's a
The work
front.
event is a front.
Yeah.
Mm.
Not
You don't
actually
know
going
what
to
goes
work.
on behind us. It's a work event. As soon as you walk down, where's the next bar?
It's a work event because I'm wearing a dress today.
Oh.
I don't normally dress up, as Jingles can attest to. So,
Okay,
it's-
okay.
Yeah.
So talking about events,
Uh-huh.
I do know that since you're the program coordinator,
Mhm.
what are some of the challenges, or like what inspired you to get into just like program coordinating in general?
Yeah. What I really love about it is the creativity. So I get to really kind of stretch my own creativity. Here, so my position, this program coordinator role was new. So no one else had ever had it before me. And so I've gotten to build it, which has been a good thing and a bad thing because I now do way more than is what in my job contract. I mean, if you look at what it is, but that's just the nature of getting to build systems.
Okay.
We didn't have a university calendar before, and now we have one. And I know that
Ooh.
doesn't seem exciting, but it's exciting to have a calendar. You get to a certain age and these things really, woo. But yeah, I love that every day there's something different. You never know what's going to happen. You get to have that creativity, have that flexibility. And then I also just love having fun with students. There's days where I have to sit and do budgets, do reports, do emails.
Oh yeah.
You've got those days at any job where you're not necessarily going to have fun. But then at other times where I get to dress up as Santa Claus and give out presents. You get to do some really fun, creative things. And I think it's just nice to feel connected to students. I mean, part of why I wanted to get into higher education is to work with students. And so I think getting to know them on that relationship level, I'm a very relational person. I think through events is the best way because you've got people being silly, having fun.
Yes. That's so true.
And just kind of stepping out of the classroom. I think there's so much good that you can learn in the classroom. When I taught, so much fun. Even when I've taught here, it was a lot of fun and I got to know the students in a different way. But, you get to sit and have conversations with people while you're eating popcorn and, watching a movie or making slime or, coloring pages. I know sometimes people say I work in an adult kindergarten, but I think everything is important. So
Wait. This brings me to wait. You know what I'm gonna say. Yesterday, I think it was our friend Darian who was on the podcast, right? Too?
Yeah, episode 3.
Yeah, episode 3.
Okay.
And then we were sitting down and we were talking about how it was something about being an adult and we have to be responsible and all that. And then she was just like, I'm still a kid.
The art of play. There's a book that I read recently, maybe 6 months ago, that talks about how we lose this ability to play and have joy as adults. And it's so sad because I see that happening in my own life. And that's something I intentionally am no, we're going to play. We're going to have fun.
Yeah, we were just discussing this with Lauren too. And then we were talking about how, we have to have the balance. We were talking about how do you keep your mental health and everything in check. And then she had her views. And personally for me, that's what I told her as well. It's you have to do things that you love.
Yeah.
That's
You have to take some time off and do things that you love. You have to do things that you enjoy. Walk in the park, go on a hike.
Yep.
You know, go somewhere. I don't know, just eat good food.
Yeah, eat good food.
For me personally, cooking is
He's
a
a
therapy.
cooker.
You're
He's a
cooker.
chef.
Okay.
He's a
I'm not
chef.
a cooker, bro. You gotta put rice in me and strictly cook. But then for me, cooking is a therapy for me. So if I had a bad day, I had bad exams.
Yeah.
I had a bad day, I had an exam, bombed the exam completely, right? Feeling very bad. And then generally, I don't even feel bad. Sometimes I'm just hey, I tried.
Yeah.
As
long as you tried your best, doesn't matter what the outcome is.
Yeah, sometimes it's
Yes.
it's just the things that I studied just didn't come in the exam. So I'm
Yeah.
you know what? No, I'll take it this time. And then sometimes, sometimes I feel sad.
Yeah.
Most of the times I don't even feel sad. I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with me, but
Yeah.
but then
Nothing's wrong. It's just how you process it.
but then so I go back to the dorm, start cooking, Like I just cook up a good meal of something. Like I put all that effort, all that pain, I put it into the food.
Yeah.
And then I just enjoy the food silently, in silence. You've seen the meme, right? It's like living abroad as a foreign international student, and then he's like partying, eating alone. He's like going to school like with the bag alone.
Yeah.
Wait, actually, that brings up another question. Like, what's your favorite food to cook?
My personal favorite food to cook, right? See, I cook a lot of stuff, but then personally, when it comes to cooking fish,
Oh, okay.
like fish is something I cook
What
very
kind
well.
of fish, though? That's the real question.
See, like I can't cook a lot of stuff here in the dorms.
Yeah, that's true.
Somebody give me an oven or something, I will make you the best dish possible. But like to make do with what I have here, I mean, you've seen the kitchens here, right?
Yeah.
It's, like,
Yeah.
it's just two induction
Yeah.
heaters, and then you're like,
Yeah.
pop the pan, pop some garlic in, pop the what do you call that?
The
salmon?
fillet,
The
yeah,
of
the salmon fillet, yeah.
Add some honey, some honey garlic, soy sauce.
Ooh.
It's very good.
You know
like,
your stuff. You know your stuff.
Yeah,
Come
You know your
on.
yeah.
stuff.
It's
You
all
know your
about the
stuff.
seasoning.
Come
All about
on.
the seasoning. So
I'll say this: I'm bad at cooking.
I lived in
Yeah.
India for 8 years, bro. Don't talk to me about seasoning. I know how to season my food. Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah. You
Seasoning
just gotta
and-
do what you enjoy, and yeah.
How do you actually stay motivated after like a long day? Because I do
Wait.
know for
Adding to that question, right?
Mhm.
How do you stay motivated? And how do you stay this energetic?
Ah.
Share the secret.
Oh.
Share the secret. Because after like 2 classes, I'm dead. It's like, I had 2 classes of engineering. I'm like, somebody kill me. I need to go to the
Ow.
dorms. I need
Yeah.
to take a nap. But then like, I've seen you walking around like, because I was here all day.
Yeah.
You saw me. I was playing guitar over here.
Oh, I wondered who was.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was Manolo. So
No,
he
I
normally
was
sits
just-
outside and plays guitar.
I was sitting
So
here and playing the guitar, and then I just saw you like you were walking around. You were picking stuff up from here.
Oh,
you were
yeah, I was
cleaning the
cleaning.
whole thing.
yeah.
And you're still so energetic. It's like it's what 6 o'clock in the evening,
Yeah.
and you're still this energetic. Like, how's
How
this
do you do
possible?
it?
you know, I think I've always had a lot of energy. Always been very energetic, but I really let myself feel my emotions when I feel them. So like say I'm having like, you know, obviously still being professional, but I'm not going to fake it if I don't feel it. Like there's some days where I come in and I'm like, I'm really tired. I'm going to let myself, okay, I'm going to be tired. I'm not going to be as, you know, outgoing. And so I think that's important because I
Mondays.
think,
Oh,
yeah, when you try and, you know, push yourself to feel or be
Yeah.
on when you don't want to be. I also go home and I'll like stare at a wall for 30 minutes. Like I have a giant, my adult purchase that I bought myself when I moved here is a 5-foot memory foam bean bag
Ooh.
that is the like centerpiece of my home.
Mhm.
And I come home and I just fall into it and I'll just kind of stare at nothing and just kind of like
Mhm.
Take the moment in.
decompress, take a moment in. And that's really helpful. I think it also helps that I live alone. So like I have my silent, quiet time like when I go home so I can be introverted. I can spend 24 hours not talking to people. But I also really enjoy the people I work with. I think I'm lucky in that I thoroughly enjoy not only my 2 coworkers down here, Anna and Lauren, but you know, I was upstairs, I'm just chatting in the hallway for 20 minutes with another person, Jan, and just, you know, I feel like in the morning I'll go get coffee and I'll do like my social rounds, as I call them. I'll be like, all right, how's everyone doing? And, you know, so I think it's because I'm an extroverted person,
Yeah.
I'm able to have these connections. And I would say part of my job too is being relational with students, in being there for them, having conversations, talking to them, which can be very draining, you know, but it's also, I'm not sitting doing Excel work all day. That has drained me. When I have to sit and do Excel or like
I don't like using
forms
Excel either.
or that type of stuff, it's exhausting and it hurts and your brain is on. I could sit and do a conversation all day versus that.
Do you know how much Excel I have to work? I'm an engineering student. I have like lab reports on lab reports.
My brother's an engineer, and so we'll be talking while we're both working sometimes, and I'm just like, yep, nope, not gonna happen. But
Yeah.
I think part of it personality, part of it work environment, but also not trying to fake it. Like if I'm having a bad day, like I'll let myself feel it, let myself be. So and then living alone is awesome.
So since you're the program manager, right?
Program coordinator.
Program coordinator, sorry. what do you think can be improved? Like, we asked the same question to a lot of our guests, a lot of our people here, like, because we want to really improve because like personally I feel, because I went to the States and I came back and I've seen the universities in the States, and it's like the events are big.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people show up. It's really, really fun. Like, you know, people, when they come together, it's really, really fun. But then here we do have events, right? Like, I don't know. I came to the Utah events, like maybe one or two of them.
He came to the iftar.
Oh, nice. Iftar dinner. Yeah, we had a really good turnout for that one.
And then I also, like, those are the only Utah events. I've been to a few, but then I go to the SUNY ones as well. And we have some fun ones, but then, like, I feel that a lot of people miss out on those. And I wonder why. And, like, you know, could you share, like, any idea or, like, any plans that you have that you would want to, you know, improve the situation here in this, like, the quad campus area that we have, like, many universities. So I think, like, could you share something, ideas on it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great point. I think part of it's cultural. A lot of, you know, when we think of the field of student affairs, college events, campus events, it's a really American style thing. And so a lot of people don't grow up with that. And so they're like, why would I come to an event to make slime? Like, I go to college to study, to get a degree, and to get a good job. And so I think part of it is telling people, you know, we have a purpose for doing this. Like, I know sometimes it doesn't seem like it when you come to a fun event, but like, we have programming goals, I've got agendas, I've got learning objectives for all the events I do. Like, I don't just do an event to like do an event. There is a reason behind it. Oh yeah,
that's true.
Trying to slide in some education in there, you know, whether it be de-stressing, mental health, education about, you know, any topic you name, we can do an event. But I think trying to do it in a fun way is always how I approach it, because I think while you're going to get some students who come to a lecture, you're going to get more if you can do an interactive fun event. I think things to improve on, we have a lot of challenges here being new universities. You know, SUNY's the oldest and they've been here for 10 years. And so we're still building the systems. You know, we're still building these programs, building these processes, trying to figure things out, the space. We're, you know, doing construction right now on the 6th floor, making more space, doing more construction on the 9th floor. Like, so I think it's every semester we're getting better and better. But yeah, I'd say I think you can always improve on things. Always, always, always. I don't ever think that you do an event, it went amazing, it can still go better. You can still do something better.
Like, as a person who enjoy like organizing events, for myself, I think when it comes to the planning process, I think everybody has a different style of like planning. How do you prioritize your plan, or like how do you approach whenever you're planning or organizing an event?
Yeah, so I try to do mine about a semester out. So I have a general calendar that I keep that has all the events that I'm going to do or manage. A lot of my events are run by students, and so I like to give them the creativity and the flexibility to run their own events, even if I know maybe it won't go so well, because I think that's a learning experience for them. You know, I can take it and do it for them, but you're not going to learn and grow from that. And so I usually have a general idea of what events are going to happen, and then just from the experience of putting on so many events or being involved in events, I kind of know, okay, we need to order stuff by this day at the latest, or I need to order things. And so I have a general checklist that I use to kind of make sure for larger events, I've got more specific documents of what's it going to look like. I'll usually make an event plan of like setup. So where are things going to be? Who's going to be doing what? Who's where? But here, more so than any other institution I've worked at, it's more last minute with things. And I think it's because we do a lot more smaller events. We don't do as many large events, and there's so few people putting them on. So whereas at a big university, like my role is done by 3 to 4 different people. Yeah. You know, I'm different departments, but here it's just me doing it. And so you just don't have that same level of support or manpower or woman power, person power, that's what I'm looking for, to be able to do these events. So yeah, I think always good to have a plan, but also realize with event planning, something will always go wrong or go a little bit differently.
Yeah, that's 100%. Like,
it's usually like how you like compromise.
Yeah.
A lot of time, like stuff just like happen, and I think right then and there you have to make the best decision possible for.
I think that's the most important goal when it comes to, like, when we say like we need some project oriented learning.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing you learn out of project oriented learning, because like theoretically everything will work. But when it comes to the real world, when you start doing stuff, this won't work, that won't work. You have tons of problems. You have logistical problems. You have, like, I don't know, like time constraints. You have this, you have that. Like, somebody who's carrying the stuff, like maybe had a bad day, ankle rolled, something broke. It's just like there's tons of things that can go wrong. So exactly, like project oriented learning, I think it's a very, like,
I enjoy like projects more than the other.
Yeah, and so the fact that you give your students like the ability to make and do projects, even though it's not going to work, I think it's a very, very important thing that you do. It's very, very good.
Yeah. And I mean, that's how, when I was a student, or even now, I've put on events and they haven't been successful. And it's like, okay, you learn from it, and I think trying not to take things personally. Like if something goes wrong,
what's the secret of making every event work? Pizza. Give them pizza.
Give them pizza. I think as long as you feed them, give them happy.
Everybody wants pizza.
Well, and I think another piece of advice that I got early on when I was working in higher ed is that, you can have an event and, a lot of times we look at like numbers. Was it successful if we had 20 people, 30 people? But I actually don't like to look at events that way. I think if you had 2 people, but those 2 people had an impactful, meaningful experience, you've done your job. I mean, my job is to, give students this education, give students this opportunity. And yeah, sure, you don't want to spend a ton of money and have no one come, but I think you can still look at it as a success when you're having these smaller turnouts that, you can really use. And so, yeah, I like to look at event success as more holistic than just numbers, because I think that's something important too to consider, of like, for those 2 students, maybe that was really, really important and they really needed to hear that and they needed to learn that. Maybe not. Maybe it was useless, but I like to think it was
so
important.
As a program coordinator, do you prefer to do larger events or like small events?
I like to do smaller events. I think you can get more people. You can do different topics. You can do more topics, can kind of do them during different times. I also think because it is just me that it's easier to manage smaller events. When we're doing these larger scale events, it's a lot. With the activities fair, we had almost 200 people there and I coordinated it. And that's great, but it's, talk about a day that I didn't have any energy by the end of, it's just exhausting trying to coordinate 30 different tables, all these people coming in, the food, the music, the performers, like it's a lot. So I think easier to do small. But yeah, I mean, I think here we just tend to do more smaller events. So at my last job, I only did big events. So it just kind of depends on.
Yeah, it's a ebb and flow of workplace, I guess.
Yeah.
But then, so I think we're running out of time, and I'm also supposed to not keep you for more than
That's right.
6:30.
That's right. So.
Because there's a front.
Yeah, gotta get to this work event. So Friday night, woo!
Friday night work event. Okay. But then, anyways, just to wrap things up, could you give some students some advice, or could you tell them what's going on in your life, or anything that's happening fun or something like that? Just to end it on a good note.
Yeah, fun that's happening. I'm going on vacation in 2 weeks to the Philippines and Thailand. So I'm very excited. Talking about work-life balance, this is something, again, I learned, took me a little bit in my career, took me a couple years, but making sure you're taking your vacation, taking that time that you've earned. I think being responsible about it, I plan out my vacations months in advance, so it's built into the calendar, people know. But taking that time and unplugging and getting away. So yeah, I'm super excited. One of my best friends is coming over from the US. We went to graduate school together. So gonna do that. But in the shorter term, going to Seoul tomorrow. So excited about that. It's kind of relaxing. I spend the weekends relaxing. I don't tend to do a ton of stuff. I try and do one social thing a weekend. And then other than that, I'm working on a jigsaw puzzle, new 1,000-piece one. So making a new door decoration wreath. I like to decorate my door for the seasons.
Oh, okay. That's nice.
So, yeah, the dorms can be...
That's a very American thing, but I like it.
Well, the dorms here, I live in the dorms as well, and it's just their white walls, white floors, the fluorescent lights. It's just, you come home to that, and it's kind of sad. Yeah. So I started just putting different things up on the outside.
You've seen my room, right, Jingles? You've seen my room with the LED lights, the tapestry going on.
You gotta make it home. You
gotta come back from your class, and you gotta be in a homely environment. You gotta wind down a little bit. But yes, so to wrap things up, any advice for the students?
Gosh, I think be willing to change your mind about things. I think a lot of students come to university and think, I'm studying this, I have to go into this. You don't. You can try different things, see what you like. But also join either a club or an internship that's maybe not related to your major, because you might find out that, hey, I really like this, or do a job. I think with a lot of institutions, they've got student worker positions, and you can try lots of different things and see, well, maybe I like that, or maybe I don't like that. And you can always get experience and always count it towards what you're trying to work forward or work toward. So yeah, I think just kind of don't be afraid to fail. I know it sounds cliche and cheesy. Let me quote the inspirational quotes over here.
The TA that got laid off.
That's right. But
nevertheless.
Yeah, I mean, I think just do that, and then enjoy your time, enjoy the people you're with. I think grades are important. Grades are very important. They definitely matter, but also understand you're a human and a person and need to take care of yourself and take care of you. And at the end of the day, you're more important than a grade. So doing whatever that is, whether it's cooking, whether it's going for a walk in the park, or all those other things you mentioned. But yeah, just try not to be afraid and take advantage of the wonderful opportunities you have in college. So yeah, as said from the old lady over here, I mean, gosh.
I think
you have more energy than like 80%, 90% of the people here, so including us right now.
Yeah. Well, you use different brain power doing studying. So me as a student was
different.
Well, no, I had the same amount of energy,
Never mind then.
I think I looked more haggard, sweats, late night studying, the 2 a.m. all-nighters. So yeah, different phases of life. So yeah.
Right. So with this, should we wrap it up?
Yeah, I think
so. Thank you everybody for tuning in. It's been a really nice, energetic episode with Lauren. With Molly. Oh no.
It's
sorry.
Okay. My middle name is actually Lauren, and people didn't know
the
difference. I know Lauren and I, when we started together.
Okay, so I guess you know.
It was Molly and Lauren. So yeah, I know it's creepy. It's very creepy.
I'm sorry. Okay, it's been a really fun episode with Molly. Thank you so much for taking your time off.
Yeah, of course.
You have 1 minute to spare now.
1 minute to spare. Okay, got it.
Yeah, thank you so much, and we hope to see you again sometime on our show again.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
I hope you enjoyed the time here, and let's wrap it up for this one.
All right.
See you guys on the next one.
Bye.